just finally come back and get in the cage and want to punch his face in. But for now, when I win this belt, I am the champ, you know what I mean? While he's out the cage, I'm the lightweight champ. Very small compared to me, you know what I mean? He's up to like here, he's not that wide. You've definitely seen that video of him and Pantoja stood next to each other and they look the same weight.
And I hope Paddy is gonna lose, because if Paddy wins, it's gonna be a problem for me again.
Why do you think so?
I think he's gonna try and avoid me.
You say if he wins against Justin or if he wins against Ilia?
No, against Justin. Against Ilia, he never can beat Ilia.
Okay.
No way.
So you think if Paddy wins the interim belt, he'll try not to fight you?
Yeah. UFC gotta push him forward.
He speaks with certainty, but beneath the confidence there is tension. The anger is direct, almost blunt, yet it exists alongside an unspoken awareness that time, absence, and circumstance complicate everything. For now, he claims the belt in spirit if not in name. As long as his rival remains outside the cage, he considers the division his. It is not framed as celebration, but as a temporary truth, one that exists only in the space created by another man's silence. There is a fixation on physical differences, size, width, weight, not as vanity, but as justification. He points to footage, to side-by-side comparisons, as if trying to ground future conflict in something measurable and undeniable. Weight classes exist for a reason, he insists. And if that line is crossed, the consequences, in his view, would be unavoidable. Yet even here, certainty feels defensive, an attempt to control a future that refuses to be orderly. His attention, however, remains split. The immediate threat comes first, an interim title fight that demands focus, discipline, and precision. He speaks of the path as simple: deal with what is in front of him, then turn fully toward what waits beyond. There will be no easing back, no soft return. When the moment comes, he wants it direct, uncompromising. But even as he says this, he pauses to acknowledge something else: personal struggles that exist outside the cage, family matters, private weight. He draws a line between the man and the fighter, offering restraint, even sympathy. That separation matters to him, until it doesn't. Others watching from the outside are less certain. There is concern that a return, however inevitable, could come too soon, that the body might be ready while the mind remains unsettled. Fighters, they note, do not handle inactivity well. Silence becomes pressure. Watching others compete can be harder than losing. The pull back toward the cage is powerful, sometimes reckless. Experience suggests that urgency, when mixed with unresolved personal strain, can carry a cost that only becomes visible afterward. From another corner of the division, the calculus changes again. Alliances, preferences, and quiet rivalries shape opinions. Some openly hope for one result over another, not out of loyalty, but strategy. They believe certain matchups will never materialize, not because of fear spoken aloud, but because of risks understood by everyone involved. Words are sharp here, less filtered, revealing how thin the line is between confidence and contempt in a sport built on proximity to consequence. Health rumors circulate, then are dismissed. In this world, pain is common and rarely announced. Infections, injuries, exhaustion, these are treated as background noise unless they force a cancellation. Preparation continues regardless. Being ready matters more than being acknowledged. Waiting, even when invisible, is part of the job. For one contender, stepping away once became a turning point. Not because of victory, but because of attention. Support and criticism arrived together, reshaping how he was seen and how he saw himself. New camps, new alliances followed. Careers here are not shaped only by wins and losses, but by moments when the spotlight lingers unexpectedly. The contrast between disciplines is stark. In grappling, there is freedom, no weight cut, less pressure, fewer consequences. In mixed martial arts, everything narrows. Months of focus, media scrutiny, the understanding that one loss can redefine how the world speaks your name. This is the sport that consumes him, the one that demands everything and offers nothing back without a fight. From the outside, some argue for patience, even forgiveness. Effort, they say, should count. Showing up, making weight, standing ready when called, that commitment matters, even if the moment never comes. In a system that moves quickly and forgets faster, recognition itself becomes a form of currency. Confidence returns as the next fight approaches. a belief that a blueprint already exists, that others have shown the way. He plans to stand, not retreat, to prove that he is more than what critics assume. There is admiration here too, genuine respect for the opponent, for what he represents, for what it means to share the cage with someone long admired. Legacy is being built in real time, even as risk accumulates quietly. On the other side, focus narrows to a single point. No future scenarios. No rival waiting beyond the fight. Only what happens when the door closes. Anything else is a distraction. This is not bravado. It is survival. A recognition that thinking too far ahead can cost you everything. What remains, hanging over all of it, is uncertainty. About timing, about readiness, about how much a fighter can carry, physically, emotionally, privately, before it shows. In this space between preparation and consequence, silence does most of the talking. And when the cage finally closes, whatever was unresolved will come with them. He refuses to look beyond the moment in front of him. There is no rehearsal for the future, no space given to what comes after. He describes entering a fight with total abandonment, a mindset where consequence is irrelevant and the present consumes everything. It is not said for shock. It is said as a fact of how he survives the pressure, by narrowing his world until nothing exists but the cage. He does not pretend to fit a recognizable mold. He calls himself awkward, unrefined, difficult to imitate. His movement resists structure. His grappling does not follow textbook patterns. In his own telling, this is not a flaw to be corrected but a reality to be embraced. It is why preparation against him is never clean. No training partner moves quite the same. No rehearsal fully translates. What others describe as clumsy, he understands as unfamiliar, and therefore dangerous. Yet beneath the defiance is respect. He speaks of his opponent as a figure he once studied from a distance, someone whose career shaped his own understanding of the sport. To share the cage with him carries weight beyond rankings or belts. It is legacy confronting legacy, a name that, win or lose, would follow him long after the fight ends. There is even a quiet hope that the contest does not mark an ending for the other man, that the cost of victory does not come too high. Across the division, attention shifts. Futures are imagined, routes calculated. One fighter looks toward a rematch, hoping circumstances align. Another refuses to wait, aware that time is not generous and opportunities close without warning. Interim titles, symbolic belts, temporary paths forward, all become part of the same tension. How long can a fighter afford to stand still while others move? For one veteran, the conversation turns inward. Words spoken in frustration are revisited with honesty. He admits emotion played a role. That pride did too. Fighters, he says, are driven by personal slights as much as ambition. It is how they arrive at this level. But experience has also forced reflection. One loss changed the way he measures risk. Another could end everything. The line is now clearly drawn, not out of fear, but responsibility. To himself, to the people who will live with the consequences long after the noise fades. Age reframes everything. What once felt like a beginning now feels closer to closure. He speaks of trust, placing it in coaches, family, those willing to tell him when it is time. This is no longer about chasing more. It is about knowing when enough has been taken by the sport, and when it is time to stop before it takes more than it gives back. Elsewhere, ambition remains restless. Weight classes are reconsidered. Possibilities weighed carefully. A move down is not casual, but a title makes sacrifice negotiable. Meaning still matters. The fight has to justify the cost. And then there is restraint. A champion who could move up again, but chooses patience instead. He speaks plainly. Opportunity must be earned, not assumed. He is still here, still capable, still planning. Not rushing toward an ending, but not denying that one exists. Across all of them, a common truth settles quietly. Careers are not defined only by fights won or belts held. They are shaped by decisions made under pressure, by what is risked, and by what is deliberately left unsaid. In a sport built on violence, the heaviest moments often arrive in reflection, when the noise drops, and each fighter is left alone with what this path has already taken, and what it may still demand. He dismisses the speculation quietly, almost with fatigue, as if the question itself has already lingered longer than it deserves. His focus is narrower now. The objective is efficiency, finish the task, limit the damage, and leave the door open for what comes next. There is no bravado in the way he speaks about it, only calculation. A dangerous opponent stands in front of him, durable and proven, and that reality is not ignored. But the intention is clear. Do the job cleanly, and move forward without delay. A swift victory, in his mind, is not about spectacle. It is about continuity, momentum, the ability to return quickly and face whoever emerges next. Names are mentioned, not as callouts, but as possibilities, paths that remain open if circumstances align. He understands that others may be disappointed by the order of things, but patience, he implies, is rarely tested for long in this division. He also addresses why this opportunity arrived when it did. Not every decision, he suggests, is about hierarchy or reward. Sometimes it is about assurance that the fight will deliver what the moment requires. Excitement still matters, and if others are set to meet elsewhere, he is willing to wait, to face the winner when the time is right. For now, his responsibility is singular: handle what is directly in front of him. When asked whether motivation was an issue, his answer is steady. He does not frame himself as selective. He fights who is put in front of him. Legacy considerations exist, but they do not override the present. An undefeated record might carry a certain weight, but so does the simple truth that every fight carries risk, regardless of narrative. What matters is readiness, not preference. Beyond the cage, his life has expanded. Projects outside competition are growing, providing stability and purpose beyond the sport. He speaks plainly about money, not as a measure of success, but as a means to support the people who depend on him. Fighting, for all its cost, has always been tied to that responsibility. Inside the gym, he believes he still belongs. The work remains demanding. The pace still surprises those around him. He does not speak as someone clinging to relevance, but as someone aware of his limits and still confident he has not reached them. The future remains deliberately undefined. When the conversation turns to possibilities beyond his division, he does not dismiss them outright. If an opportunity were offered, he would consider it. But he is honest about where he stands. He does not believe he has earned that chance yet. Not now. Not without more work, more wins, more proof. There is no rush to claim what has not been secured. This is where he leaves it. No promises, no declarations, just an understanding that credibility, in this sport, is built slowly and lost quickly. The next fight comes first. Everything else can wait.